I got to talk. I got to tell what I feel. I got to talk about my life as I see it. Biggie. Biggie.
Yo, what up, Boxerland? What's going on, guys? This is YDK, and today's video is Paulie Malignaggi a sellout, right? If you feel that he's not, I understand, and if you feel that he is, I understand, all right? I'm going to play a couple of clips for you guys, and you guys make up your own mind, and then in another clip, I'll tell you what my thoughts are, all right? Stay tuned. All right, guys, now listen to this other clip by Paulie when he was about to face Broner, all right? Check this out. During the Malignaggi Broner press conference, I want you to hear the subtle threats that are being thrown at Paulie from Broner and his team concerning his commentating job. Just listen.
Get to the point now. Hey, the mic's off. You're a clown. The mic's off. You're a clown. The mic's off now. Okay, you don't got a job. Clown. The mic's off. Clown. Stop talking. Stop cussing. England Brothers is coming.
Guys, so listen to this clip, right? And this is Paulie responding to, you know, the subtle threats coming from Broner and his camp about his commentating job.
I'm all for going to fight. You know what I mean? When we're on emotional events, when we're on emotional stuff, you know, it's all good. You know, we're supposed to get into this kind of stuff. We're supposed to give you guys a lot of hype. We're supposed to do all this kind of stuff. What I didn't appreciate was I was at the weigh-in work with Showtime, and you know, he kind of tried to approach me. Listen, man, I got my broadcasting gigs, and I'm fighting. I don't intertwine the two. When you start stepping outside that boundary, you know, then you get me a little irritated. So yeah, I'll admit I was a little irritated. I don't mind promoting the fight. I've been doing this my whole career. You know what I mean? There's nothing marketable out of Adrian Broner.
So as you guys saw in those clips that I just played for you, you know, obviously, you know, Al Heyman was putting the pressure on Paulie Malignaggi to sign with him. And, excuse me, you can see that in how Broner was throwing subtle shots at him concerning him cursing and his job. And then, you know, I play that clip for you of Paulie, you know, responding at the same press conference to, you know, basically, you know, promoting a fight and not crossing the lines with his job. Yeah, and you have to remember that at that time, Oscar was not really involved too much in Golden Boy promotion, and as we know, he had a substance abuse issue that he was still in at that time. So, you know, basically, Richard Schaefer was putting pressure on Paulie so that Paulie could sign with Al Heyman. Now, the thing about it is this. Paulie says, you know what, I may have like 1 or 2 more fights left in me where I could probably make $1 million, maybe $2 million if I fight. If I don't sign with Heyman, I won't get those fights. If I sign with him, I get the fights. But even more important is, you know, long term, Paulie's thinking, well, I like my commentating gig. You know, something that I'm very good at. I've gotten a number of positive reviews from it. The money's really good considering I'm not getting punched in the face. So, man, I really got to start considering signing with Al Heyman, because if I don't, they're going to get me out of here. Now, if you guys remember, that third chair at Showtime, the third commentating chair at Showtime, used to be Antonio Tarver, who is an Al Heyman fighter. All right, it was his chair until he tested positive for steroids, which at that point he left and Paulie came in to fill in. But I'm assuming if Paulie wanted to keep that job, he was going to sign with Al Heyman. Now, I said that because after playing those clips, I wanted that to still be fresh in your mind, but I'm going to take you further back. If you guys remember, Paulie used to be promoted by Lou DiBella, and they had a very close relationship, you know. And I will say that Lou DiBella did a very, very good job promoting Paulie. But then Paulie left Lou DiBella for Golden Boy. If you remember, I think it was one of the last fights that Paulie had with Lou DiBella, under Lou DiBella's DiBella Entertainment. He fought in Texas against Juan Diaz. Paulie even warned us all about a Golden Boy promotion ref, you know, that he felt that he never scores against Golden Boy fighters, and he said, this guy robbed me. And sure enough, Paulie won that fight and got robbed. And Paulie was very vocal about it afterwards. You know, he asked Max Kellerman, you know, how he scored the fight. He said, this is the bullshit with boxing. You know, I only do this for a payday. You know, so you fast forward. He even went to the post conference afterward, you know, and with Oscar behind him said, you know, boxing is bullshit. This is why boxing is dying, etc., etc., etc. And those of us who are diehard fans, we were really proud. We were happy that somebody on a big stage finally said the truth. And maybe by bringing exposure to all this bullshit, maybe it would stop, right? But then Paulie gets a rematch, and he clearly beats Juan Diaz, and he gets the decision. And not long after that, he signs with Golden Boy Promotion. And if you look at the clips that I just played for you, right? The diehard fans, the ones that really knew what was going on, we love Paulie because he was the one that was exposing the bullshit about Al Heyman on a large scale. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time now, but who am I? You know what I'm saying? Like, I have but a couple hundred followers total. You know what I'm saying? Paulie Malignaggi is a famous guy who millions of people know him in boxing. I mean, for crying out loud, Eminem, you know, dropped a verse on Paulie Malignaggi, or included him in one of his latest songs. You know, Paulie was on, you know, on the commercials for Punch-Out, for Wii, for Nintendo. So, you know, he's really known. So when Paulie said that, I was delighted, and so were a lot of hardcore fans when he was going out and, you know, exposing the bullshit on Heyman. When I felt he got robbed against Broner, I mean, at the least, I thought it was a draw, right? And after the fight, because I was there live, Paulie talked about how Tom Schreck, right, was an Al Heyman paid referee, and you know, about the bullshit and the politics on boxing, and us diehard fans, we were like, wow, this is great, right? And let me just pause that right there. You know, it's disgusting. If you went on Showtime On Demand afterwards, Showtime edited that part where he blasts Al Heyman. That's to tell you how much power and control Al Heyman has over Showtime. But anyway, back to the point. So, you know, Paulie, you know, exposes the bullshit with Al Heyman. You know, the incredible influence, how he was mistreated, how he couldn't get tickets. He being the champion, got paid less money than the opponent, Broner. You know, he's even said prior, you know, that Broner wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for Al Heyman. And all of those things were true. And what happens, you know, a while after that, he signs a deal, you know, with Al Heyman. And then in an interview, he says, well, you know, I'm a very outspoken person, and it wouldn't, you know, be beneficial to Al Heyman for me to say these things, and it wouldn't be positive for me and my career, so why not get together and then, you know, be outspoken in a positive way. Basically, Al Heyman, you know, picked up Paulie just to shut him up. Because with Paulie under his banner, he's not going to speak bad against Al anymore. And guess what? No one now is. So there's no voice in boxing because, like Paulie said before, like I've always said, the boxing journalists are a bunch of fucking fanboys. You know, they've got no balls, they've got no spine, they've got no integrity to write the shit that needs to be wrote. But getting back on my point, you know, is Paulie a sellout? Unfortunately, as much as I like him, and let me tell you something, I have some personal friends of mine that Paulie treated very, very, very well. And every time he sees them, he gives them the utmost respect, and I respect him for that as a man. And I respect him as a diehard fan because everywhere he goes, you know, he takes the time out to speak to fans and interact with them and sign with them, and that's great. And another thing that I like about him, being a fellow New Yorker, is Paulie goes out to a lot of local boxing events to show support, and I give him credit for that. And I actually like the guy. You know what I'm saying? I like Paulie, and I think he's good for boxing. You know what I'm saying? But to answer the question, do I think Paulie's a sellout? I have to say yes, because he spoke bad about Golden Boy, but then he signed with them. He spoke bad about Al Heyman, and he signed with them. Now, not that I want to contradict myself, but you know, we have to ask ourselves this question, right? Because most of us, right, are not like in the top 10% or the top 1% of Americans, right? We're basically at the bottom of the base, right? Like we earn less than $50,000 a year, you know, and most likely we're blue collar, you know, hardworking guys. You know, we don't make a whole lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So we couldn't like possibly relate to possibly losing an opportunity to make millions of dollars. So what we have to ask ourselves is, if we were in the same position, what would we have done? You know, so I said I think he's a seller. I think he's sold out. I mean, not that I'm justifying it either, but let's think about it from this point of view. Wouldn't you have signed if you possibly would have lost your commentating gig? Think about this. What else has Paulie done? You think Paulie wants to put on a tool belt and swing a hammer and bust his ass for $40,000 a year? You think he wants to drive a bread truck, you know what I'm saying, get on a bread route and hump his ass for $40,000, $50,000 a year? Or why not show up a few times a year and possibly make anywhere from $300,000 to $1 million a year commentating and get flown around and see the world and have a great time and do something that you enjoy? So, you know, from that point of view, like, do I blame him? No. And do I think less of him as a man for doing it? No, I don't. You know what I'm saying? Because truth be told, shit, I don't know. Like, you know, I talk all the shit as a fan. You know, one thing I got to tell people is I separate, like for example, boxing to me is entertainment, right? So we say things as fans, but you got to see things that outside of a fan, there's a real world. These are real human beings. These are real people with families, right? These are real people that have to think about their financial futures, right? So when we look at it like that, you know, as a fan, yeah, I thought he was a sellout. As a man, though, I can't knock what he did, and that's the bottom line, you know. And you know, regardless, I mean, you know, they may have shut him up, but you know, who else has said the things that he does? And if you listen very carefully to him, you know, Paulie says things without saying them. It's like he swims without getting wet. You just have to be clever enough to, you know, to figure out what he's trying to tell you without saying it. So, anyways, you know, yeah, I think he's a sellout, but that doesn't make me think less of him as a man because, again, you know, we're not the ones that had a lot to lose there. So it's easy for us from the outside. Just like I said this in my other video. You know, as boxing fans, it's easy for us to stand on the outside and say, oh, this guy should have done that in a fight, or he should have done this for a fight, or you know what, Paulie's a bum, or he got knocked out, or he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that. Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. Lace it up and get in the ring with Paulie Malignaggi and see if you don't whoop your ass. You know what I'm saying? Because the things that boxers do is, you know, what they do inside that ring is a hell of a lot harder, and they do things that you and I, on our best days, couldn't do, even if we couldn't beat them on our best day and their worst day. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I appreciate them and I respect them as fighters, and you know, I have my views, I have my beliefs as a fan, but I also have mine as a man. So I hope you guys agree with me. If not, you know what, comment on the video below. You know, hit me up on Twitter at YDKSAB, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for your time.